Hey you! Welcome back to the channel. Hope you all are having a wonderful day, and if you are new, welcome. My name is Grubs, and I make Eternal Return content for new players just like you. While I have played Eternal Return before kind of on and off sporadically through the years, I really only started playing the game at the beginning of 2024. And the biggest way that I learned how to play the game was actually through YouTube videos, because I found the tutorial was really not helpful. And I think I've come to find with these videos, they will teach you kind of the core mechanics of the game, but they will not kind of prep you for like what the new player experience is going to be like. And there's a lot of people that comment that are very frustrated because they think, oh, I watch these people play, they have these wonderful games, they have tons of people in them, it's not frustrating, they're being successful, like what am I doing wrong? And the answer might be more shocking than you think it is. And it might not be. Maybe you've known all along. Either way, let's dive into it and let's really talk about what you're going to experience as a new player playing Eternal Return. I imagine you are a young, beautiful person, or maybe an older, beautiful person that has decided that they want to try out Eternal Return. And you install the game, and you get ready to prep for the tutorial, and you go through the tutorial, and you realize that you are kind of confused. And I feel like this has happened to a lot of people. The tutorial, unfortunately, is not even trying to mimic what a real game is like. They throw mobs in really weird locations where you would never see them. You find VF blood on like a bear or a wolf or something, which like you're never gonna find that in a real game. I understand why they did it, but like I don't get why they did it at the same time. And like I get it to a certain extent because like you can't say the League tutorial is like very good at prepping you for a real game in that aspect, right? But the thing is they keep the League tutorial really brief, and they just teach you like, hey, you're in lane, fight somebody. Here are different characters to try. Okay, now go kill their towers, get their inhib, and take the nexus. And it's like boom, 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 done. Everything makes sense within like the context of you understanding the core basics of League. The Eternal Return tutorial commits like two cardinal sins for me. One, they put story into it. Nimble Neuron, I am not playing an MMO. I am not here to be the guy and save the village and deliver the fish. It's not happening. It's not what I want. If I'm playing a tutorial, I don't need to know about how scared my character is. I just want to understand the basics. The immersion will come later. It's not going to come now. And I don't want the immersion now. I want to not be confused. And I'm going to stop you right there, you angry typing nerd. The lore in this game is very good. You should look into the lore of this game. It is very interesting and honestly way cooler than it should be. It has no right being as cool as it is. All right, after like 15 minutes of me trying to record something very simple, it turned into a lore tangent, so obviously I need to make a lore video at some point. But the point of the matter is the lore is very good. Highly recommend that if that is something that piques your interest when it comes to new games, definitely check it out. But I don't want to see it in my tutorial. I don't want to be confused. I just want to know how to effectively slap people because I'm playing a game that's all about slapping people. My second gripe about like the beginning of this game is that the tutorial is also really long. You could probably condense the core mechanics of Eternal Return down into one tutorial very easily, especially if you're going to force people to play through bot games, which I'm going to get into that in a second. But if you are somebody that doesn't know what Eternal Return is, the game is going to go like this. You pick a character, you pick a loadout. The loadout just dictates what your path is going to be for your initial gear. You're going to go into a game. You get into the game, you follow that path that's already been set for you because somebody made that loadout. Hopefully not you. Please don't do that if you're just starting the game. After you finish your first set of gear, you're then going to be working for the rest of the game on upgrading your gear and fighting other people along the way. Stay out of the red areas, make sure that you're the last team standing, and bing bada boom, you win. Obviously that was very condensed, but you understand what I mean. That was a very simple explanation of what you will expect in a normal game of Eternal Return. I think it's just the fact that the tutorial is so long, and then right after that, you're like, okay, I'm ready to play. I sat through that and it was awful and it was kind of boring, but like I'm ready now. And like you get into a game and then what? Oh, you're fighting against bots for like the next 20 games. And like there are bot games in League too, right? Like we can't say that bot games are not a valuable resource for learning new characters and stuff, but they are in Eternal Return because in Eternal Return, the bots don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. I swear to to God. The bots will spend all game trying to craft something. If you go down, they like will not fight the person that you were fighting or the mob that you were fighting. They'll just try to pick you up in really awkward moments. Combat itself in a bot game is really awkward because the bots will only fight you if you like are the aggressor, and like it just doesn't make sense, and it doesn't follow or mimic like the real pacing of any type of game that you would play in Eternal Return. I understand to a certain extent why they have this the way it is. It's so like you don't get overwhelmed, because the game can be very overwhelming. It's supposed to be a fast-paced game. But the fact that the tutorial is a little boring and not very engaging, and then you go into these bot games that are like not very engaging and not very interesting, it's like that's a huge slog. And I understand why people would get turned off from the game and not want to touch it again. And I can sit here and tell you that it gets better and implore you to please come back, because like the game is wicked fun when you actually understand what you're doing. But I can't blame you either if you don't want to come back. And it breaks my heart that this is the state of the beginning of the game for new players. And unfortunately, this is an issue that can't just be easily resolved. I mean, yes, we can fix the tutorial system and that could make it a little bit better, and we could improve the bots and make that a little bit better. But the really big issue with it is actually a lack of player base. And that sucks. Depending on what region you're playing on, you may not have a lot of players to play, and you may be forced to play on the Asian servers, or you may be forced to come to NA. And I'm sorry about that. I've heard stories about EU being very, very toxic, and I have yet to step foot there because of it. And I just want to be brutally honest with you as a new player. You are going to experience these things. But like I said, it does really get better. If you can hit level like 20-ish, you will be out of the bot games and you will start playing against other people. But there is a double-edged sword with that one. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat the experience. While you are learning, you are going to find a very large disparity of skill in your lobbies. Not every game are you going to be playing against other baby players, and that's going to be very frustrating as well. And honestly, I actually really liked that this was a thing. I liked being able to see what peak gameplay was supposed to be like. I understood what it was like to be scary if I had one of those people on my team and what the pace was expected to be. It was the only way that I was able to improve, I think, at a pretty quick level when it came to being a beginning player. Yeah, it feels bad to get dumpstered on by these people over and over again, but if you go and watch like the game replay and see what they're doing, you'll learn a lot of like how to make or break your early game, or even how to get ahead or to look for resources in a smarter way. Like there are so many things that you can learn from watching these people, whether or not it's from a YouTube video or even just game replays itself. And I mean it when I say that I love this game. There is a reason why I stuck through all of that, because I stuck through all of that shit just recently, guys. This all happened to me within like the last 6 months. I did this. I went through this. I stuck through it because I could see that the flaws of the tutorial and the beginning levels as a player was not a fair representation of what the game was going to be past that. Eternal Return is a frustrating game to just break into, but once you are into it, there is a reason why it has a very dedicated community. There are tons of people that love this game, and people that I know personally that I played League with that I have introduced to this game, and they don't really play League anymore. They play this instead. You don't blow up in one hit. Fights have to be a little bit slower, which means that you actually have to think before you just jam buttons on a keyboard. You actually have to strategize. There's actually a really wonderful, wholesome community behind the whole thing. It's kind of a once in a blue moon experience where you start to find really, really toxic people. Usually the people I've found that are toxic are actually new players that don't understand the mechanics, so they just go, the game's dumb, and then like you have to deal with that all game, and it sucks because it's like you're not even playing it right. So yeah, it sucks that you have to do all this extra homework in order to enjoy a game past the tutorial levels and the beginning levels, but it is well worth it. And that has nothing to do with like the representation of the player base or the representation of the game itself. It's just something that needs to be fixed. But if you understand that, number one, Eternal Return didn't start as this type of game at all. It started out as a mobile game, so remember that. It eventually evolved into this. So they're still in kind of the early phases of a lot of things. A lot of people will come into this thinking, oh, well, they've been doing this forever. Yeah, it was also solos and then duos, and now it's actually squads, and it's only been squads for a year. And if you think about this game being in the state that it's been in for a year now, it's actually doing really, really well. And it's way, way more beginner friendly than it ever was, if you can actually believe that. So I highly recommend that if you're somebody that is new to Eternal Return, or you've played Eternal Return and you kind of gave up on it, come back and give it a chance. Come find some videos, come watch some stuff. I have stuff, but you don't have to watch mine. There are tons of other creators that are doing things that are worth watching that will teach you the basics, and you can come back and actually enjoy your time playing Eternal Return. So if you are a new player that is very frustrated with the beginning stages of the game, you are not alone. Everyone has experienced this, but I do promise you it gets better. If you're looking for resources, I will link a few channels down below. Some of the guides might be a little outdated just because, again, this game has been in development for so long, but a lot of the core concepts like battle zones and Wikaline and that kind of stuff haven't changed. So I will link you to those channels. On top of it, I actually have a Discord that's specifically for new players. I push this a lot because I get tons of people in here all the time that are new players, and I love playing with you guys, and it really is a community of people that are just trying to help build up other players. So I will leave a link for that in my description box down below. I do that with every video, and I did make a video that goes over like the basics and what to expect as a normal game of Eternal Return, and I will leave that up as a card in the top right of the video. And definitely do your homework. Just try to learn as much as you can from outside of the game before coming into it, so you kind of know what to expect, because again, the tutorial in the bot games will not prep you for the real life thing, and it will kind of suck a little bit in the beginning. Eternal Return is kind of this hidden gem right now, and I would be really sad to see this game die just because people aren't able to overcome the hurdle that is the beginning of the game. So that is it, my guys. I hope that all was helpful for you. I understand that that sounded like I complained a lot, but I do really love the game, and I just wanted to be honest with you as a fresh player what you should expect. And if that sounds like a headache, I don't blame you for not trying, but I strongly, strongly urge you to think otherwise and to give the game a fair shot, because once you get through, it is absolutely worth it, and it feels good to get good at that game, which is really hard to say about a lot of games nowadays. If you liked the video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. If you want to complain about the game, definitely leave a comment down below. I will commiserate with you, trust me. If you enjoyed my content enough that you want to stick around, or maybe you're looking for more guides that are going to be coming out in the future, then definitely hit the subscribe button. There's also that bell that gives you a notification every time I post. I do post every Saturday, and I look forward to seeing you all on Lumia Island. And yeah, that's it. Bye!